I'm Tyler and I'm from Haslingden, but I've had a caravan in Morecambe for 14 years, so I thought, why not, as a semi-local, come and interview Marilyn.
I'm Marilyn, and I had a B&B at the West End for 8 years.
What kind of landlady you were? So, were you shy, were you outgoing? Were you one for going up on karaoke?
I was a bit crazy really, depending on the customers that we had in, because I'm a very outgoing person, and I wanted to please everybody and give them what they wanted really, and it worked very well. And it was just lovely meeting the kind of people. They were mainly older end of people, I would say, but they were so interesting, the characters that we got in over the years. So when the power station workers had gone, we actually took it over at that point, so we didn't have anybody registered to come and stay for the holidays. We had to sort of start from the beginning and advertise, and it didn't work. So we just found out that people came and knocked on your door, have you got a room, can you accommodate us, and that's how it worked.
When you took over the B&B, had you ever done anything like that before? And if you hadn't, why did you take B&B over?
At the time, my niece worked in estate agent. I had obviously my family were in Morecambe, and she said, well, why don't you just come and have a look at a few and see what you think? So that's what we did. Why would I like being a landlady when you're making meals all the time and you're cleaning rooms all the time and it's just constant. But I loved it. Absolutely loved it. It wasn't consistent. One week you'd be full, and maybe the next week you'd only have 3 or 4 people in.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit like up and down. And if you were busy, it was all hands on and you had to do everything. And people just enjoyed coming, but it wasn't a family sort of thing really. Even though people did come with children, it was more older people that we had staying with us. And the people that came spent time in Morecambe, because that's what they'd come for really. They'd come for the holiday in Morecambe, and there was a lot more to do then. These old ladies used to come 3 times a year from Yorkshire. It was like you were looking after your auntie. They used to go to like a bingo night there or a whist night, and it finished at 10 o'clock and they would walk back. Well, sometimes it was dark, and they weren't back when they should have been, so we got a search party out looking for these 2 old ladies coming on the promenade. And that same couple, she used to take her teeth out before she was having a meal, and she put them in her handbag and the dog pinched them. And we couldn't get these teeth off the dog. Anyway, she didn't miss them until later on. And she said, I've lost my teeth. We've got the dog laid down on the floor, trying to open the mouth to get these teeth out. Anyway, eventually we did, and obviously I had to go and get some special stuff to cleanse them. And then I said, I found your teeth. I told a lie. I said they were on the floor by the bedside table.
What was your role at the accommodation? So it says like laundry, cook, washing up.
Well, I did the whole lot, but like my family, my daughter in particular, obviously she was at school. I mean, they sort of like waited on at meal times and that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? They were in and out of the kitchen, and I had to make sure that it had been done right before I was happy about it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That's my mother in me.
Is it?
It was when we sort of thought, right, well, we've got students in, and we took workmen in. After the students and everything, I mean, obviously some of the rooms were an absolute nightmare. Okay, and the workmen, they would just similar to the students, if you like.
Yeah.
They just came to stay maybe 2 weeks at a time, and then they'd come back and do another 2 weeks, depending on what they were working on.
Can you recall any interesting or amusing incidents?
One of my students, I used to make his sandwiches up and whatever, and a drink. And he'd come back and he said, "Oh, can you make me a tuna tomorrow?" And he was selling them. I was making sandwiches and he was selling them to his friends.
Is that how good they were?
It must have been. And we're still friends now. A man came with this lady, and they were probably in their 50s. They knocked on the door, and obviously I answered and took them upstairs and showed them the room. And they had this argument going on, and she said, would you bring your wife to a dump like this? No, then we had a German fella, and you couldn't really understand what he was saying, but you got the gist of it. And he came and he had his breakfast, and Pete had said to him, "Will you be coming for your evening meal tonight?" "No." "That's fine." So what does he do? He turns up wanting an evening meal. So Pete's panicking. I said, "Look, just go to a fish and chip shop over the road." Pete was doing this faulty towers thing in the kitchen, like leg going up like that, and he's... Yeah. Occasionally we took some children from a children's home in for a week, and you looked after them. You took them to places, entertained them, and made sure they were all right. And it was all right until one of them set fire to the bedroom, and they also threw things out of the window into the backyard, like table lamps, and it was a total wreck.
Obviously you were a very busy lady during your time of owning the B&B. Did you get a chance to ever go out?
But I had a friend who had a boarding house, and she and I used to go, I think it was on a Thursday night, for a couple of hours to the Battery.
Alright, yeah.
But I'd get back at 10 o'clock if somebody was having a cup of tea and cake. Yeah, the landladies used to have meetings, not all of them, but a certain group of them used to have these meetings, and you used to go to a pub or whatever and just sort of like pass on stuff that was going on, and were you doing all right, and you know, just things like that. It was quite good because you found out what other people were doing, and it sort of like helped you a bit as well. It made a big difference to my life. It helped me communicate more with people, and I suppose it was part of making me the person that I am. Because you're learning as you go on in life, aren't you? Well, as I said, it had ups and downs because of the people, but in general I would do it all again. I would.